Welcome to Taboo Texarkana, the podcast where we dive deep into the untold stories, spiritual journeys, and topics people don't usually talk about. I'm Colton Foltz, your host, inviting you to join me as we sit down with incredible individuals from Texarkana and beyond. And today I have one of my favorite people in Texarkana in the entire world, Yulia. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you have so much to offer to Texarkana. You've done so much. You've been a huge inspiration in my life, and I've only known you for maybe 5 years, maybe six coming up. Um, so where are you originally from, and what was your childhood like?
So, I am originally from Russia. I was born and raised there. I moved here probably 11 years ago, around that time. I was 25 at the moment. I got married and moved here. Um, just recently, I was thinking about my childhood and how everything that was happening seemed to be normal because that's the only thing you know,
Mm,
right? That's your reality, that's your life. But now looking back and living here, it seems sometimes so crazy. Like the things that we were doing, the places we were going, the books we were reading. It's kind of bizarre. Like I was just telling my friends the other day that we had a field trip in middle school to the morgue.
wow,
And the idea behind it was to show us the organs of the smokers and people who abuse alcohol.
that's pretty raw. Like that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And of course I remember that visual image. So it really, yeah, it really impacted how how that childhood was. And I asked my friend from middle school and he was like, "Of course I remember." So I just wanted to make sure that I'm not, tripping and making stories up. No, he said, "Yeah, I do remember that for sure."
Wow. So you were there until you were 25.
Yes.
So I don't know much about Russia, but was it like a communist? Is it a communist country or?
I was a Soviet baby. I was born in 89, so it was still a Soviet Union. So in my passport, it says place or place of birth, I think. Um, it says USSR.
Wow.
But no, in 1991, it became Russia. So the Soviet Union collapsed and it became Russia. And of course, it was a very rough time for the country. The old ways were gone and they were trying to build the new ways. So it was messy. And the education system was also trying to, establish the new way. So, for example, and it's not related to the politics or history, but again, about some things that seem to be normal right now seem so brutal.
Mhm.
Like there was a book that everyone, I think, still reads in the second grade. Second grade. And the book is about this guy who was um, like a peasant. So he had a master, this lady who was very mean to him, and he was mute. So his only friend was his little dog. Because he was mute, he could only say the words as the sounds as moo moo. So the dog's name was moo moo. And this this mean lady, his master, she made him out of spite drown the dog.
Oh my
And
god.
that's the story you read in the second grade.
Wow.
So this all these memes where it says Russia is not for beginners. It's true.
Wow. Yeah, that's totally different from what we were reading in second grade. So what brought you to Texarkana?
It's my husband. His name is Rupa, or also he's known as Rodrigo. Rupa is his spiritual name. Um, we've met because of our friend in common. So she basically was our Cupid. She introduced us
Mhm.
and we started texting. Then we started talking. It was all via FaceTime. And it was very quick. We met in person in August, and then December, in December we got married.
Wow.
It's been 11 years.
Wow. So was he already here in Texarkana? Did you come straight from Russia to Texarkana?
Straight from Russia to Texarkana. Yes, he was already living here. He is not from here either,
Mhm.
so I guess it's kind of easier in a way for both of us to be not from here to kind of share this culture as a second culture for both of us or
Yeah,
third one.
I love that. Um, so what was your first connection to anything spiritual, creative, or healing?
Spiritual, I would say it was death of my grandma because in a Russian Orthodox church, Christian Orthodox, you're supposed to be baptized when you attend some ceremonies. So when my grandmother died when I was 10. And then I decided that I want to get baptized just to be able to attend that service.
Um, so tell me a little bit. You're in school right now. How much more school do you have, and like, what are you studying? Because I know you just had your exams. So are you done? Or
No, I'm not yet done, but I will be in May. So in
okay,
May, I will be graduating. I'm in school for mental health counseling. So I'll be a therapist.
okay. How long have you been in school for counseling?
This is my third year, so 3 years.
Okay, and before that, I know you were doing some like relationship coach stuff. So like, what kind of led you into this counseling profession?
So I think coaching is more of a start. It's kind of on the
Mm-hmm.
surface, but not quite deep. And I think I needed, I wanted to go a little deeper. I think all the problems that people experience in relationships are more of underneath. There are some reasons why people experience these difficulties. And if we do not address them in therapy, it will be really hard to sustain the relationship. So I wanted something deeper. I wanted something more, um, even scientifically proven. So all this stuff that I'm learning at school, I'm very excited about, and I see how it's really working because I am myself in therapy.
Yeah.
I'm a consumer also.
Yeah, me as well. The last maybe like 6, 7 years. And I know, Barb. Barb's great. She's
Hmm.
really helped me a lot and introduced me to a lot of people and different techniques of healing. So, was there a moment that you realized that this path was for you with the counseling?
Yes, I think um, when I started my personal therapy and I saw how things have changed tremendously. It took a lot of time, so don't think it's just a one session and a
Mm,
quick fix. It's never like that. But I started noticing things, um, mostly internally. I started noticing how I treat myself much better in a much kinder, can I say kinder? More compassionate way. Another interesting thing was that I used to have these nightmares, and there was always someone chasing me, trying to kill me or hurt me. And few months into therapy, I stopped having these nightmares.
wow. Did you figure out what that stemmed from? Or,
My therapist works in an analytical approach, so there's a lot of work with unconscious, with dreams, and I want to think of it as something internal, like there was no external threat to
mm-hmm.
my well-being, but in my dreams it was something, someone, and I want to think of it as maybe a part of me that was very cruel to myself. I was critical and judgmental, and possibly that's the part of me that I maybe integrated into my personality, and it's now not a threat. I
Yeah.
gave it space, I provided it space, and I accepted it. Maybe
Maybe
that's
for
how I.
now.
Yeah, because I think there is no right or wrong, especially when it comes to human beings. It's so complex, so there might be many ways and meanings, just like the nightmares or the dreams that we have. Um, they not necessarily have only one meaning. It's more than that.
Yeah. It's interesting how some of our own fears and anxieties can manifest as something like that. I know whenever I was getting out of the Navy for a good stretch afterwards, I would have sleep paralysis and night terrors, and people were always chasing me, trying to kill me.
Hmm.
And I mean, it took a long time to get through that, but I realized a lot of it was my own fears and anxieties and overwhelming stress. And the stress just would attack me in my sleep. So what are your goals with becoming a counselor? Like, you want to have your own private practice, or like work at like olive tree counseling, or like
That's a good question. I'm not sure yet. I really like where I am right now in my internship, and that's a university center. I really like working with students. I learn a lot from them.
bet.
And we have people from all over the world. So there are different cultures, different backgrounds, different spirituality. Um, I really like that. So maybe I will start somewhere in the community at the beginning. It's such a long way for counselors because after you graduate, you're supposed to complete 3,000 hours after supervision before you become licensed
Hmm.
counselor. So you cannot start a private practice until you have those 3,000 hours.
Wow. And how long does that take?
I would say a couple years, maybe 3 years.
Yeah. So you're doing that at the Texas A&M
Mm-hmm.
University?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I bet I see all kinds of kids and cultures there. Like, if I use my VA benefits and go to school, I want to go to Texas A&M. Looks like it would be the fun place to go to.
So you're also thinking the counseling path?
Well, I mean, I've looked into it, and like you said, it's like 3 or 4 years of school, and then you have to do the clinicals and like the in-person hours. I've looked I kinda like an integration coach
Mm-hmm.
for psychedelic psychotherapy and stuff, and see, I need to pull the trigger on it because I've thought about this for 4 or 5 years, and I just got back from Peru a couple months ago, and Heroic Hearts Project hooked us up, with integration coaches, and while I was in Peru, there was a couple of integration coaches that, like, did the medicine with us, and, like you said, like, I just wanna learn more and not necessarily do one-on-one counseling or have my own practice, but I hold so much space teaching yoga or doing ceremonies or,
Mm-hmm.
like, doing universal vibes, so I just want to learn more to be able to handle space because I watch these coaches, like, in person with all these other veterans, and they're going through stuff, and, like, they seem to know exactly what to say,
Mm.
and it's like, man, I want that knowledge, and being a counselor kinda scares me because I just think about all the things that people go through and all the things that I've shared, and I know it's like a heavy load, um, to carry that or hold that space, so I don't know if I'm exactly built to, like, see patient or client after client, like, all day long and, like, hear all this trauma and then be able to, like, shut it off and do it again day after day, but maybe. I'm kinda leaning towards the integration coach stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and you introduced me to Doctor Strahan 5 years ago, and he gave me these books from, MAPS and Psychedelics Today, and I just used one of them because it was a psychedelic integration book, and I used it for this trip to Peru, and that's when I found that letter, that envelope from that cacao ceremony that you held like 3 years ago or whatever it was, 3 or 4 years ago, and it's just full circle. I'd never opened the books at all, and then
Mm-hmm.
I started flipping through them, and I was like, "This is an integration book," and I'm integrating from my experience, and then I found the letter, and so really cool. Um, I want to talk about yoga a little bit. Um, I know you're not teaching yoga right now, correct?
Yes, I'm taking a break right now, and I started the break when I entered the school. So I just decided to fully focus on that because that's my priority right
Yeah.
now. But I do believe in integration, just like you. So I think talk therapy might be effective to an extent, but our body keeps the score, just like that very famous book.
Hmm.
Um, the name of it is Body Keeps the
Yep.
Score. And I think it is still trapped there for the most time. If you went through trauma, then probably your body still has it. So I do believe in integration as well. Um, so I think yoga and therapy or any other practice that address the body and the physical part of it will be very beneficial.
Have you ever thought about being a yoga therapist?
I thought about it. I still see myself right now, at least right now. I think things might change. We all know that, right?
Yeah.
But right now, I feel like I will want to focus on traditional therapy and perhaps integrating mindfulness into it. Um, maybe some somatic work. Maybe eventually get the certification in the somatic experience training.
Yeah. Can you explain what that is? Like a somatic session or somatic release or what that entails?
I am not very familiar with it, but what I heard from my supervisor is it's the touch that is healing. So you are with a client who is on the massage table and you work with them because you need to first find out where is the body trapped in the body, where is the trauma
Hmm.
trapped in the body, and then with very gentle touch in a safe space you work through that.
Have you ever experienced that?
No,
No.
because she's my supervisor, I cannot be the client.
Mm. But she doesn't.
She does it.
Okay. I've heard people say that they've had like somatic releases, and I know it's trauma stored up in the body, and like maybe people shake, maybe they cry or
Mm-hmm.
hyperventilate when they release. I've read that book too. The Body Keeps the Score.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. So you're not teaching yoga, taking a break from it, focusing more on the therapy, mindfulness. Do you still have a personal practice? Do you like get up and move your body, stretch, meditate today?
Today I did not, believe it or not. Today I was singing. That was my practice of the day because I joined the chorale, Texarkana Regional Chorale this year,
Okay.
and I'm enjoying it so much. I think that's another coping skills, you guys. Singing, it works. You know, the vagus nerve
Mm-hmm.
and engaging in chanting or singing is very healing, very therapeutic. So that's what I did
Yeah.
today. It was not yoga or meditation, but it was
Yeah.
singing.
Yeah. Yoga, I mean, that's your practice to feel alive or stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system or whatever. So what does your morning ritual usually look like? I mean, you sang today. Do you ever drink cacao in the morning and like get sunlight in your eyes or take a cold shower?
Usually hot shower. You'll
Yeah,
be
I mean,
surprised
same, same,
that
you know.
someone from Russia really enjoys the heat of Texas. So I do not like cold showers, like my hot, steaming hot, boiling water showers. I like to have my matcha latte in the morning. I do meditate. Um, sometimes in the morning, sometimes later in the day, depending on what
How
time I
life
woke
goes.
up. Yeah,
Hmm.
many factors. But that's some of the things that I do in the morning.
How long do you usually meditate when you do?
It really depends again of the amount of time
Hmm.
I that I have. Um, starting with 5 is better than nothing,
Yeah.
and up to 20.
I try to do at least 5 minutes. 5 minutes is usually doable. Um, I'm usually in so much like physical pain that I go straight to the yoga mat. I've been coming off of this Peru trip, really hitting like the yoga mat for like an hour or two in the morning. Maybe I'm not even stretching the whole time, or maybe I'm just stretching and not doing yoga, or I'm journaling, reading, meditating, doing like gratitude practice. So I've been doing really good lately. The last like week or two, I've been moving, so I'm like physically exhausted. So I just hit like the foam roller this morning for 5 minutes and like meditated before we came in here just to kind of like
Mm-hmm.
calm myself and remind myself that where I'm supposed to be. There's no reason to be nervous. Um, so you host women circles or have in the past. What led you to that line of work? What inspired you? Did you experience one yourself, or like how did you get involved in the women's and the cacao ceremonies and all that stuff?
It all started in Russia a long time ago, and I did attend some circles that my yoga teacher was holding. And then she wanted me to join too, to hold it. So I've done that a couple times back then in Russia, but then I moved here and I kind of forgot about that. And then after I got diagnosed with brain cancer, I guess I really wanted to have the community, and what's the best way to do it is to start it yourself, because there was nothing like that in
Yeah.
Texarkana. I think the first one I had, it was maybe 5 years ago, probably. So I think that became a very special place for me, when women can gather together, just come as they are, without pretending, without putting up a mask, without um, judging each other, just being there for each other and being real, sharing real stuff, supporting each other. It's hard to describe. I think you need to experience it. It just creates that very warm and safe space that a lot of us lack, especially this present moment.
I love that. Um, I wish I know most of your circles are all women, and the reason that I've done some men's circles or cacao ceremonies is because like there's nobody doing it, and I crave that community and that vulnerable space. And like the only other thing like that around here is like AA meetings and like
Mhm.
and maybe church or something, like, and I really crave that community, but it's hard to hold that space and like plan all these things and invest so much time into things, and events is just like a hit and miss. You could have like two people show up or 20 people show up and you never know. So how do you prepare yourself energetically before going into that space, that women's circle?
I think over the years, my circle changed a lot. And one of the reasons is, again, I'll be talking probably about it all day long if I could, my own therapy. I remember one day coming to see my therapist and saying that I was not happy with how the circle went. And we were talking about it, trying to understand. And then I realized that I was, um, all the circles before that one, I was always thinking of what I'm gonna wear, how I'm gonna look, all the makeup and jewelry and everything. And of course, I was preparing things, meditations, and other activities, but there was a lot of focus on me, on how I look, what I do, what I say. So after that session, I tried to shift the focus from myself onto women around me. I it sounds silly, but I intentionally did not wear any makeup the next circle. I did not dress up. I just wear my yoga pants and a yoga top. And I've noticed such a big change that I was not the center of the circle. I was like, I was supposed to hold in it, but it wasn't my circle. It was women's circle. So that was a big change.
Love that. So you mentioned like planning the meditation and activities. So what goes on that you can share or feel comfortable sharing that goes on in the women's circles or the ceremonies?
So we usually start by introducing ourselves. Sometimes we use metaphorical cards that I like, and I use them also in cacao
Mhm.
circles. Sometimes it's depending on what it is about, what is the theme of the circle. Maybe it's a new moon. Um, Maybe I ask to share what was something that made you happy this week, something like that, just to kind of warm up. So we introduce each other. Then I think usually we meditate. There is sharing. Sometimes we do um, art activities. Sometimes we do movement related stuff. Different techniques and exercises, and there's a lot of sharing. I think the
Yeah.
most important thing is sharing. The exercises are just to um, initiate that sharing.
Kind of give some like reflection questions, kind of get people to like think outside, or maybe they need a prompt
Mm-hmm.
to figure out what they're feeling or what they want to share. I've realized through the ceremonies that I've went to with you and then like the trips that I've been to that like the sharing is just as strong as like any medicine I've ever done. Cause how often do we sit there and be like, this is my name and this is where I'm from and this is what I'm struggling with. And then you
Mm-hmm.
got 20 other people and they're sharing and you're like, oh, I can relate to that. Or like you feel for other people and you learn things about yourself through other people's stories and experiences, and especially when you're on like a 3-day trip with people and like you're sharing 2 or 3 times a day, it's just such a powerful medicine. Um, you said that you're a survivor of brain cancer. That's an experience that rocks anybody's world. So, like, how has that shaped your spiritual life or your life in general?
It definitely was a pivotal moment, and I think it's still affecting me in my life in many different ways. But I think prior to that, my spiritual life was, and I did not, of course, realize that, but my spiritual life was more of a business transaction. I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do, um, what's in the scriptures, and that way I will get, I don't know, peace of mind, safety, security. So when it happened, I was like, whoa, I thought I was doing everything right, everything I was supposed to do, you know, especially because I was so young. I was 30 years old and I was vegetarian. I was a yoga teacher. So I thought I was doing everything I was supposed to do to live healthy and to be a spiritual person. But I did not realize that I was doing all those things expecting something in return. So that definitely changed my relationship with religion, and it expanded my vision, my spiritual path. I do not see it as squared as before. I do not think there is one right path, and I'm more open to different teachings, which I'm very grateful for because one way or another, there are always some people in my life. They come and go, or some stay, that are great teachers. And I think that's one of the things that I'm most grateful for in life.
So, what so you were 30 years old and this was just 5 or 6 years ago? Like,
Mm-hmm.
because when I first met you, I think you were still having, like, some treatments. So, can you tell me a little bit about, like, the treatments and, like, recovery and, like, the process. Like my mom went through cancer a few years ago, and she was bedridden, and like save you some of the details, but it was rough. Hair falling out, teeth, fingernails falling off. Like it was really really hard, and like she didn't even want to go through the chemo. She's like, I just rather die at this
Mm-hmm.
point. So like, how long from like you were diagnosed? Were you having like symptoms that kind of led you in to go get checked?
Mm-hmm. Um, so it happened when I was, I think, 27 maybe. I started having very mild seizures, just some twitching in my leg. And that's it. So I went to the doctor. They did not find anything. And I think I went to Russia that year, and I went to see another doctor, and they told me to get an MRI. So I did it, and they found the tumor, but they said it looks benign. I went to several more doctors when I came back from Russia. They all said it was benign. And one of them said that we can just keep watching it. If it's not growing, um, you can live with it. So we we were doing that. I mean, me and my husband
Yeah.
were doing that, getting MRIs every 6 months, every year maybe. Um, and then one day, I just started having terrible headaches. I just couldn't get up. Nothing worked, and I got an MRI done, and it was like this big.
Wow.
It was really really bad, and the doctors were like, "How are you even walking?" Because it's affecting. It's on the right side of my brain, so it's affecting my left side. So me being able to walk was like a miracle.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and I forgot to mention that when I found out that I have a tumor, I started. If I was not eating healthy before, I started juicing. I started fasting. I was dry fasting. I was doing all kinds of things that you can only imagine. I went to different shamans and people who heal with magnet, like
Anything.
everything and anything. I tried it, believe me. So having a surgery was like a last resort. And again, it will sound silly, but losing hair was my worst nightmare. And by the way, right now
Yeah.
I do have a huge bald spot in my head, but back then it seemed so scary, and I was postponing the surgery. And I think that's one of the reasons why it became so big. Because if I would take it out when I found out, um, maybe it would be different. But who knows? Um, so after I got the surgery, when it was so big, um, the doctors told me that it's not benign. Even though the recovery was really quick, they discharged me, I think, 2 days later. And
Wow.
2 weeks later, I was dancing at my friend's wedding, having fun. And then 2 weeks later, the biopsy came back. The results came back, and they said it's not benign. It's cancer. It's grade 3, and best case scenario, the doctors told me that you have 5 to 7 years. If you're lucky, they use the word if you're lucky. So when you mention your mom struggling with it, I totally understand. I can relate to that because before I started therapy, I was in a very dark space. I was thinking if I have 5 years and they will be so miserable and I'll be sick, then I would rather not live. And it's a space that is really sucking you in, so it's hard to get out of it. But I'm very grateful that I started seeing my therapist, and I think that was one of the inspirations for me to study to become a therapist myself.
Yeah, that's like the a perfect example of like what therapy can do as far as like talking to somebody and having them kind of help you change your mindset. Because I mean, even with like my chronic pain, I'm like, there's no way I can live like this forever. And I've been in pain for the last 8 years. And diet and exercise and stress and manual labor all have a lot to do with it. And I've gotten better, but in the first few years, I couldn't figure it out. I didn't know how bad like sugar and stuff was really affecting it to where like I can't use my hands. But my mental space was like I would cry and be like, "There's no way I can't live like this. Can't even tie my shoes."
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm lucky that my mom kept pushing through and stuff too, because she was like, "I'm just not gonna do the treatment. I'd just rather die." Jeez. It's hard to hear your mom or anybody say that, you know? So I'm glad. So did you do radiation or chemotherapy? Are they the same? Are they different?
They're different. I've done both. In my case, the chemotherapy was, I want to say, more mild than, for
Yeah.
example, your mom's because it's in the form of pills. So I was taking pills orally. I did not lose hair because of the chemotherapy. I did lose it because of radiation.
Okay.
In my chemotherapy, it was funny. The pills that I received, it says do not, something like do not touch it with your fingers, use gloves, but then
Oh my
put it inside your
God.
mouth and swallow it.
Yeah.
Like radioactive and
Crazy.
dangerous, but yeah, swallow it. It's been a year, so every month I was taking those pills, and I had, I think, 7 weeks of radiation. That was the toughest one, I would say, for me, because they were af- they were doing the radiation over the head. At some moments I thought I was losing my mind. It's so hard to describe, but I thought I was going crazy. I don't know how, again, how to describe it, but eventually I started noticing that I'm losing hair, and it was more and more, and I just decided to shave my head. The irony of it, because I didn't want to have a surgery,
Yeah.
and here I am asking my husband to shave my head. It was kind of liberating, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just
Just
losing all of it and ad-
accepting it,
accepting it,
surrendering to it.
and facing that fear of losing my hair.
So how did this experience affect your relationship to fear or with faith?
Ooh, I love your questions. I think overcoming that was so powerful. I think with sometimes, well, I should speak for myself. I thought of strength and power as something more maybe external, more loud in a way, but it's something deep within. And maybe nobody notice what you're going through and how strong you are, but you know, because you know how you used to be, you know what's going on with your life, and how you are responding to that, to the challenges that you're facing.
Yeah. What's something that you learned during that time that you still carry with you today?
It will sound cliche probably, but knowing that the death is real and it's right there. It's not gonna maybe happen in 70 years for you. Maybe it's gonna happen tomorrow. Knowing that empowered me to live my life the way I wanted. I um I read this book. It's called Love's Executioner by Irving Yalom. It's my academic crush. He's a psychiatrist, and um, he's an existential therapist. So he talks a lot about death and life, um, and he works a lot with onco patients, with patients with cancer. And he said this phrase that really resonated with me. He said the physicality of death can kill us, but the idea of it can save us.
Because then you live.
Yeah. Yes, and I think I haven't lived until I got cancer. And he describes many of his patients. He was holding groups for women with breast cancer, and how they said that they just now starting to live life after being diagnosed with cancer.
It's kind of that wake up call. Like, I mean, you had a near death experience, and that kind of reinvigorates you to live your life or want to live your life because you're so close to death. And it's like, oh, I need, because when you're at death's doorstep, maybe you're thinking, oh, I didn't do this. Or because when we're on our deathbed, when we're hopefully old, hopefully we don't have these regrets. But that's when people start to reflect and say, oh, I should have lived life
Hmm.
this way, or maybe spent more time with my friends and family and didn't work as much. So, what's one belief or teaching that you hold on to when life gets heavy today?
Hmm. Maybe I'm thinking how much I've overcame already and what can be scarier than that. And it really keeps me going.
Yeah, you got a proven track record, like what else more scary can happen to you? Like you can conquer every day because you conquered one of the scariest things that a lot of people are dealing with, unfortunately.
And I don't want people to think that um, I'm so brave and strong and never feel bad or scared. Believe me, I do. Every time I get an MRI and I have to wait for the results, it's like all over again. All those thoughts. Maybe this is it. They said 5 to 7 years. Well,
Oh my
maybe
gosh.
this is the time. Maybe it's growing again. So it's normal. And knowing um, that this is a part of life. Maybe for some people it's not cancer, maybe it's a death of a loved one or a mental illness or whatever it is. We all have our own suffering, but we have this idea, unrealistic idea that life should be comfortable and happy, and that's not what it is. And I remember reading this book by Tolstoy. It's a very short story. It's called The Death of Ivan Denisovich. And Tolstoy is describing the life of this man that always wanted to live the comfortable life. The comfortable is the word. He's always seeking for comfort. And how at the end of the life, he realizes he'd never lived.
Yeah. There's you can't live in that space, like we grow not necessarily always from resistance, but we need that resistance to grow through or become stronger or to step out of our comfort zone. How many times do people say that, like stepping out of your comfort zone, going to school? I mean, I'm sure it's not easy. It's not comfortable studying and going to clinicals, and I'm sure it's inspiring and like motivated, but like none of it's easy. And if you're looking for the easy, comfortable life, then like, what are you going to achieve?
And I was also striving so hard for that easy and comfortable life. And after being diagnosed, I was desperately looking for answers. Why? Why did it happen? What did I do? I was going to different healers and people who do regressions in past lives. Again,
You
many,
know?
many different things. And then my therapist told me, well, life is unfair. Bad things happen. And I said, but why do we need to have suffering? And she was like, but if you don't have it, how do you know you're happy? And I was still arguing, but if we have a little bit more happiness and a little bit less, then you can feel the difference. But it's not how it works. It's like a cute and childish idea, but it's far from the reality.
Yeah, it's all, a part of our destiny or a part of our karma, like I reflect on all the things that I've been through, and like all the scars are like proof that I survived and like went through all these things, and all the mistakes and heartbreaks and trauma they're all lessons that I've learned and grown through and like integrated, and like I try to look back and not have any regrets. Even if like I'm not happy with some of the decisions I made, I'm not going to make those decisions again. So like I don't regret them. Maybe they were not my best times, or maybe I didn't make the best decisions, but they're pillars and examples of who I want to be in the future or who I do not want to be. So I try to have no regrets or no fears for my past mistakes.
Well, I think personally that people who have no regrets probably don't self reflect.
Oh, I mean, I regret a lot. I'm just trying to like change the story from it, instead of being, cuz I'll beat myself up
Hmm.
for all those things, and it just goes downhill. And I noticed that a lot with this last ayahuasca journey was like, oh, the way I'm talking to myself about the things that I've done, because like it's like PTSD. Like I could just be having a normal day, and then this thing pops up where something that I regret, the way I treated somebody, or something that I went through, or something that happened to me, and it's just like a negative, down um, emotion. So I'm trying to N I don't know, I'm trying to not say I have regrets. So maybe I do have these regrets, but I'm trying to put a new lens or filter on it instead of it being like such a negative thing, and being like, "Okay, that happened, and what
Hmm.
did I learn from it, and
Hmm.
how do I not repeat it?" So
Right.
maybe it's okay to say I have regrets. I'm just trying to like rewrite my past to where it doesn't own my future or make me depressed, or I don't dwell in it as much, because I need something to be able to take me out of that headspace whenever these things come up, because they come up all the time. There's triggers, there's relationships and things that remind me of my past, or things that I've done or not done or had done to me, and I have to continue living. So try to I definitely reflect, and don't always like what I see.
But you're also not your past. You're many things. That's just part of who you were, but you are choosing who you are going to be today and tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, and I try to detach myself from that old past self so many times and be like, that person is dead. That person is not me. Like, that's not real. Or like, I'm something different today. And I realize like I have to integrate all of it, because I am still that person, but I've learned to not make the same mistakes. So instead of denying my younger self, it's like, come here, look where we are now. Like, it's okay that we went through all this. It was our karma, and their karma. Like, I forgive myself for what I've done to other people, and God put them in this path, and like we all made our decisions. Like I can't beat myself up for what I've done. I have to forgive myself, even if somebody else doesn't forgive me for something that might have happened 15 years ago that they might not even think about, but it still beats me up, especially when I'm going through like the medicine and things are very strong emotions, very vivid. Yeah, just integrating my younger self. That was a big thing that I learned this last journey, was to that I am still that 13-year-old self, like that's still inside of me, and that's a part of me that needs to be healed and integrated and brought into today. Because if I'm just pushing it out and ignoring it, that's like I'm not healing it. I'm
Hmm.
just like, nope, that's not relevant, and it is to bring here today.
Just
So
like you would do with your own child, you're not going to reject them, you're going to accept them and help them heal,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So this feels like a therapy session here now. So, if you could tell the world one thing about healing, maybe something you learned, maybe some advice, where does somebody get started? What would you what would you recommend?
I really think you should never compare yourself with others. And your spiritual path may be very different from mine, from Colton's, from anyone else. So try to do what suits you and try to do it with love and compassion. Again, it's some cliche phrases, but they are true. Just treating yourself as if you would treat your best friend.
All the cliche phrases, they're so legit. They really have so much like wisdom to them, even though they're like super short and corny sometimes. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's when life boils down to it, it's like, yes, that is like an ultimate truth on how to live or how to be. I only have a couple more questions for you. So the last guest that I had on yesterday, Dallas Ross, his question was, what's something that you went through? What's something that affected you most in life that you didn't realize until afterwards?
Reading the Mumu in second grade. No, I'm just kidding. Um, Probably being married and changing the way of acting, thinking, doing things, saying things in an intimate relationship. For example, I don't think my husband ever told me, this is not healthy, like you should do it this way. But somehow with him just being patient and present and not judgmental, I think that over the years would change me. For example, when we just got married and we'll have an argument, and I'll just leave the room and go to another room and close the door and wait for him to come ask for forgiveness. Um, and I would hate that growing up when my dad would do that. And I would do exactly the same thing with him, with my husband. But he is a person who will sit down and talk about things and maybe we can do this, maybe we can try that. And I think just being married to him and watching him kind of like he was role modeling, I guess, for me. Um I think that was maybe one of the biggest impacts.
I love that. Y'all are lucky to have each other. It's beautiful to be able to learn from your partner like that and evolve. So, do you have a question for our next guest?
Name your three strengths and explain why are they strengths.
Three strengths and why? I'm gonna have to write this down because I forgot Dallas's question. Um, cool. I probably won't do another one until the new year, 2026. Is there anything else that you want to share or talk about? You got anything any projects that you're excited about? Or are you really just focusing on school, trying to get all that done?
I'm focusing on school because I want to do my best.
Yeah.
Again, my best can be different from your best, but I want to commit all that energy into the internship, into the practice. So when I graduate, I'll feel more prepared. However, I do want to hold more circles next year. I think I will be less busy and I want to hold that space for people who might need it.
Yeah.
And I need it myself.
Yeah. It's really good. Have you ever thought about doing like retreats? Like Brittany and Jessica are doing like yoga retreats. I want to do like yoga retreats. Have you ever thought about like
Let's do it.
collaborating and making them happen?
Yes, I think it will be an interesting experience because I think it definitely creates a better environment when you
Mm-hmm.
go out of town, out of state, um, and you just dedicate all that time to yourself, to your growth, um, without being responsible for this routinely things.
Yeah.
So you just focus on yourself. Yeah, I think it will be interesting. Maybe we can do something.
Yeah. I came back from Peru and I was like, I'm gonna do a men's yoga retreat and I'm gonna do like 3 universal vibes in 1 year and or 2 indoor universal vibes, 1 outdoor, and then life caught up to me and I'm like, whoa, what I don't know what I'm gonna do. And planning like a retreat, everything's so expensive and you have to charge several hundreds of dollars to be able to rent a cabin for 10 people or whatever it is. So I've been like picking Brittany's brain a little bit on like how much things cost and how they hold space. And because they're doing it, they just had another one a month ago or
Mm-hmm.
so. So they're inspirations to like I love you and them, and met so many people through the yoga community and through Universal Vibe, and it's branched out from yoga to therapy to people that created businesses to done some awesome things. So very grateful for you. You were actually my first yoga class. I don't know if I said that earlier on the podcast, but Nikki Spangler, I think, had invited me to one of your classes at Gym Box, and I was like, "Who's this Russian lady?" like, so really opened a lot of doors for me, even if you didn't know that. So I appreciate you. Honored to know you.
I feel very honored and very grateful for all the things that you said and for being able to do what I like in Texarkana.
Yeah, Texarkana is kind of a. You would think it's these types of things wouldn't happen, but I mean they wouldn't happen if you didn't do them. So like you're creating it and then creating that community and bringing people together and bringing it to Texarkana. So it's a honorable thing to do. I look forward to 2026 with you and whatever you bring, and I wish you the best with school, and I'll be running the production and building the stage when you graduate, so I might be there.
I hope so.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.